Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghunjagam Sri Bhagopalako Krishna Kirtana Kanana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Krishna Kirtana Kanana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Kujat Kokilaham Sansara Sagara Ki Nimayra Kuli Nana Ratani Madhamula Vitapa Sri Jukta Vrindavani Radha Krishna Mahanisang Prabhajatau Jivarthadau Jaubuddha Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghunjagam Sri Bhagopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyam Priyakaram Nimasaram Pujitam Sankhapurvakanama Gananatibhi Kalavasanikkritam Nidrahara Viharakadi Viditam Chattantav Dinam Chajam Sankhapurvakanama Gananatibhi Kalavasanikkritam Nidrahara Viharakadi Viditam Chattantam Dinam Chayam Gopi Bhavarasamrita Dilahari Kallola Magnam Namaho Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghunjagam Sri Bhagopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda and all glories to the members of the Hare Krishna Society. Excuse me, I'll turn my phone off. Oh, call from Russia. But we are in a class, so we'll speak to you later. Thank you. That's our friend Abhimanyu from Moscow. Had a very interesting walk around with him the other day in Moscow to see the city and the people there living peacefully. Unfortunately, when you hear the media, it seems like everything is in chaos, but in fact, things are going on day by day, according to the arrangement of the Lord. And we are very fortunate, everyone, to be in contact with devotees around the world. As you know, we have Panchagoda Prabhu in Ukraine, and Vijaya Pandit in Italy, a variety of devotees in America who are anxious to hear the philosophy about Krishna from the bona fide spiritual master without any change. Prabhupada said in a recent lecture that what is the authority of a third-class man that changes the books, the Bhagavad Gita? There is none, because change can only be brought about through the bona fide spiritual master, the self-realized soul. And that is the service that we're providing here in our weekly sadhana program, is the opportunity for all of us here at this Zoom call, which is not only being broadcast live on YouTube, but it's being saved on our YouTube channel, Hare Krishna Society, and we recommend you to recommend others to come to this facility and get the truth of the matter about disciplic succession, because there are lots of people that have different concepts in terms of Krishna consciousness. Yes, there are a lot of, it's called like anarchy. The anarchists, they have a concept of what they perceive as reality and what they think that things should be. So each individual person has an opinion. So that goes on not only in the material world, but also in the spiritual circles that we're in. So everyone, for example, some people are initiated by Śrīla Prabhupāda in the early days. They think, oh, I got initiation back in 1969, therefore I'm an authority on Krishna consciousness. They don't chant their rounds, they don't study the books, but they think I'm an authority. Yeah, okay, you can think that, but you're not. There's a lot more to this than that. And the understanding, proper understanding of Guru Tattva is to take shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada as the bona fide Diksha and Siksha Guru, living in his Vani incarnation. So we have to hear about Krishna. We have to hear about Krishna in a meek and humble attitude. Then gradually everything will be revealed. Atah Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavad Grayam Indriye. By simple speculation, like these people that are so-called gurus, you cannot understand what is Krishna and what is in his name, what is in his form, what is his qualities, and what are his pastimes. We cannot. By these blunt senses, we cannot understand what is Krishna. But if you engage yourself in his transcendental loving service, beginning with the process of Shravanam Kirtanam, then by hearing and chanting, and by the proper use of our voice, this supreme method is recommended by all authorities, then you can become enlightened. Yes, it is through this strict adherence. Now we have people that come and go, Panchagoda. Over the years, we've had people come and go. They think, oh, you should do something different in these programs. You should have a bhakta program. Well, what do you think? When we ran the temples back in the 70s, what was the bhakta program? Well, you preached to somebody, they would come to the temple, you'd meet them, they get prasadam, they take association with devotees, they come to a kirtan, they like the chanting, they'd study the books, and then if they decided to join, was there a special program? Yeah, come to the morning program. And hear the philosophy. Did we make a special program? That was introduced by some people. I think it was a person, Donavir, who started a bhakta program. Okay, they're hearing about Krishna, that's fine, but really, the way Prabhupada started the mission, and when we're reading in the diaries, we're seeing people would come to his room at 3:01 and they would hear the philosophy from him. And in this way, they became inspired. They may not have understood anything he was saying, but somehow or other, they got affected by the transcendental sound vibration, gradually made progress, and then they became committed and took initiation. It was a gradual process. Association is really the issue. If you have good association, you can make advancement. If you have bad association, you can fall into the pit of illusion. And that is what's going on in the ISKCON world that we know with our God brothers. They've taken the role of Diksha gurus, and there's 150 of them. Wow, 150 acharyas? However they're perceiving themselves, and then step by step, over the years, so many have fallen down from that pure devotee status. That's ridiculous. It does not make sense, yet people argue. Yes, they argue with you. Well, you need a living guru, Vani Vapu. We need the pure devotee. Well, the pure devotee, Śrīla Prabhupāda, exists in his books. The pure, unadulterated, unchanged books. And that's why we stress that at our program, because this is an incarnation of the spiritual master for everyone's benefit for all time and place. Do you think that these books will become obsolete? Well, if they're changed, they will. But if they're unchanged, they'll never be obsolete, ever. They're beyond time and space. And as we study about Śrīla Prabhupāda's life, especially in 1966 in the diaries, we can see how he was acting as a pure devotee all along. It wasn't one day he was a pure devotee, the next day he was watching porno, like in the case of so many people that we've seen that have come to the movement, all these new, back then they were all new people. Were they advanced as soon as they showed up? No. They weren't advanced. And Prabhupada explained this, Yaśodā-nandana. He goes, you don't all of a sudden, you can become Krishna conscious in a minute. It's possible. But at most people, they have to practice. They have to work at it. They have to chant for years and years and years. They have to study, hear the books. They have to follow the principles, be disciplined. And in this way, gradually, yes, even in one short life, think about it. Some people think, oh, this life, I know back in the 70s, when I was living in the temple, I lived in the temple for 16 years, I was thinking, gee, give one lifetime to Krishna. I was thinking, God, that's a long time. Is it? No. It's not a long time. It's a very short time in perspective of eternity. It's a very short time. And it's a great opportunity for the conditioned soul to get out of the repeated cycle of birth and death. And that's our mission. Our mission is to serve Śrīla Prabhupada in his message to everyone, unadulterated and unchanged. Very important. In fact, it's the most, some people would say, well, why do you? It's the most important thing. There's nothing more important than this. And this message that we're delivering, Prabhus, is the most important message for humanity. You know, some of the devotees, they call me, I think the demigods are attending your classes. Let's hope they are. It could be, quite possibly, because we're reading, we're hearing the philosophy, and we're studying it very carefully under the direction of senior disciples, real disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada, who had personal association with Prabhupada, and they're giving this information to us from their tremendous memory powers. It's extraordinary. For me, I have trouble. I have a lady that's, and her husband, Vishnu Das and Rudrani, back in the 70s, she was kidnapped by Ted Patrick, the deprogrammer fellow from America. It was a great story here in Canada. There were hundreds of articles on it. And it is a very interesting pastime that we went through. I went through it, and my other godbrothers. We saved her. We got her out of the deprogramming situation, but it was a very interesting. One of my godbrothers, Uda Masloka, has written this big story about it, 24 pages long. So they sent me the draft, and Rudrani and her husband asked me, can you give me the details on this story? Because I was also involved. Can I remember? Well, not really. I do remember. I wrote back to them. I said, yeah, the story's very interesting of how you were saved from Ted Patrick and his demoniac activity to take devotees away from the mission of Lord Chaitanya. They wanted to make her normal, have her watch TV, eat meat, instead of food deprivation, which they thought was vegetarianism. Quite confused people. But at any rate, the point is this, that I can't remember specifically all the details. It's a very detailed story. So in the same way, we're very fortunate to have our godbrothers, and especially Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu with us, who has detailed remembrance, amazingly, of his pastimes with Śrīla Prabhupāda. How many people can do that, Panchagoda? How many people can enter into these pastimes of Śrīla Prabhupāda when he was here without the association of senior godbrothers who had Prabhupada's association? So this is a great benediction for everyone. And we have other devotees. I wish this mother Govinda Devi Dasi, I know Pran Mohini works with her, I wish she would come sometime to our classes and be a part of the discussions. We do welcome other people to come and speak and share this pastimes of their relationships with Śrīla Prabhupada on a global basis with us in these Zoom calls, because this is a blessing for everyone, not just for one or two people, but for millions and millions of people, and that is our goal. So let's see. Oh my God. Hare Krishna, excuse me. Let's go on to the pastimes of Śrīla Prabhupada in his diaries. Let's go forward with that. And I want to thank Rupesh Prabhu for hosting the program as our technology chief, and Nilesh Sharma. And we also want to thank our godbrother, Vinkat Bhatta, for helping to make the transition with our membership into a new era of development of our programs in a variety of languages in real time. So this will come about in the near future. We're just working on the technology. And we're going to go to the letters and contacts here back in March 1966. So you can see the list of things that Śrīla Prabhupada was attacking. And we read about books, his book distribution, and we also read about the classes and kirtans. And now we're reading letters and contacts. I want everyone to see how focused Śrīla Prabhupada at the highest level, without any hesitation, to preach Krishna consciousness to prominent people in society, and in this way affect them so they could affect the masses. Very aggressive, confident activity by him. The letters and contacts saw India Office for Extension of Passport, saw Mr. L.L. Malhotra, saw Mr. Bogart, letter from Secretary of Indian Prime Minister. And as usual, disappointing. Letter from Universal Book, not encouraging. On the 2nd, he saw Mr. L.L. Malhotra for the renewal of his passport. After June 66, referred to New Delhi for confirmation to be renewed at least for 1 year, so he's pushing forward. Letter to Chandrasekhara to help expedite passport. On the 4th, a letter to Boyd Compton, of Rockefeller Foundation, asking him exchange cooperation. And as we all know, the Rockefeller people are some of the richest people in the world. Was Prabhupada paranoid? Not at all. Letter on the 5th to Secretary of the Salvation Army, 14th Street West for exchange. On the 8th, one letter received from Atma Singh Jara Singh, not willing to hand over Seva Puja to Goshain, nor build a temple in New York. Larry Bogart was contacted, and Robert brought some fruits and dal. So Prabhupada was constantly approaching people in India for help. He got zero help in the end. Went to see Nepalese on the 9th, ambassador. He was not present, so I left. They didn't care if he was there. Saw Larry Bogart. On the 10th, letter from Vrindavan, India. A letter from the Library Bureau. And on the 11th, a letter to Tirtha Maharaj in reply to his letter of 22nd, 266. Prabhupada was constantly reaching out to his godbrothers. A letter sent to Mrs. Sally Agarwal in reply to her letter of the 6/3/66. So that would be March 6, 66. And she's in Butler, Pennsylvania, stockpiling his books. On the 14th, a letter from Chandrasekhar. It will take some time to renew the passport. Visa renewed up to June 30th, 1966. On the 17th, there was a letter from the Salvation Army Finance Secretary. At once went to see him. He is favorable by the grace of the Lord, and he's agreed to accept a $4 exchange. He is writing for confirmation. So he's trying to get money sent over. Yeah, sent over. He's trying to get money sent over to us. Thank you. He's trying to get money sent over to America for use in the building of the temples, foreign exchange. He's seeing ahead. Letter from Chandrasekhar. He encouraged to stay in America at least for 3 years. God bless him. He reports some good sales of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. A letter to Sri Padampat Singhayana and to Srimati Morarji. Yes, the founder or the head of Scindia Steamship Company. On the 21st of March, one invitation through Dr. Misra received for attending lectures of Indira Gandhi on the 1st of April. If somebody takes me, then I shall go. On the 22nd, letter from Mayor's Office of New York City, and one from the United States Navigation regarding the Jaladuta, a letter sent to the United States Navigation. Amazing. On the 23rd, a letter to the Mayor's Office. Remember, Prabhupada's just living in some office room in New York, and he's sending letters to the mayor of New York City. No money. Informed that I shall want to see Mr. Lindsay till he is free to talk with me. A letter to the Library of Commerce asking for the library card of my Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And on the 24th, the SS Jaladuta is in New York port, could not contact Mr. Forrester by phone. A message left for Captain Pandya. Captain and Mrs. Pandya came to see me. Yes, I instructed them to contact Sri Mati Morarji about my letters. On the 25th, a letter from Brindavan Chandrade, Calcutta. On the 28th, a letter from Tirtha Maharaj meeting with the landlord. And on the 30th, a letter from Rockefeller Foundation denying any help for starting the International Society for God Consciousness. A lot of rejection, but no hesitation from Prabhupada to move forward despite difficulty. 30 days notice served to Sri S.N. Fletcher's landlord by registered letter. So Prabhupada is planning to move on to the Bowery, to the loft with Paul Murray. And that is going to unfold because of things that have happened there in New York. People stealing from him, etc. So we'll move forward now with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, led by Śrīla Prabhupāda, and then we'll have a reading and discussion with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu back from the road at his ashram in the mountains in California. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Sai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Jayam Swatharam Shukritrajagacharya Siddhar Sadasaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Tulasi Devi ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Tato Jayam Udirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, from Canto 1, Chapter 2, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Yadanudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kubidastasya konat kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho sardadhanasya Vasudeva kataruchihi Syan mahat sevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat. Or the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Shrinvatam svakataha Krishna punyasravana kirtanaha hridyanta soyabhadrani vidhunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in a Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetaye teranaviddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. We will proceed with reading of the selected verses for this week. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 31. It should be noted that this reading is based on the original 1962 New Delhi edition. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace is Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Yena eva aham bhagavato Vāsudevasya vedasaha maya anubhavam avidam yena gachanti tatpadam yena, by which, eva, certainly, aham, I, bhagavato, of the personality of Godhead, Vasudevasya, of Lord Sri Krishna, Vedaha, of the Supreme Creator, Maya, energy, Anubhavam, influence, Avidam, easily understood, Yena, by which, Gachanti, they go, Tatpadam, at lotus feet of the Lord. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. By that confidential part of knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of the Lord Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything, and knowing that they can go back to him or can personally meet him. Purport. By devotional service or by the most confidential knowledge, one can understand very easily how the different energies of the Lord is working. One part of energy is manifesting the material world. The other superior part of his energy is manifesting the spiritual world. And the biomedia energy is manifesting the living entities who are serving under either of the above-mentioned energies. The living entities serving under the material energy are struggling hard for existence and happiness, which is presented to them is illusion. But in the spiritual energy, they are placed under the direct service of the Lord in eternal life, complete knowledge, and perpetual bliss. The Lord desires, as he has directly said in the Bhagavad Gita, that all conditioned souls rotting in the kingdom of material energy may come back to him by giving up all engagements in the material world. This is the most confidential part of knowledge, but this can be understood only by the pure devotees, and such devotees only are entered in the kingdom of God to see him personally and serve him personally. The concrete example is Nārada himself, who has attained this stage of life of eternal knowledge and eternal bliss. And the ways and means are open to all, like Nārada Muni, provided one agrees to follow the footprints of Sri Nārada Muni. According to Shruti, the Supreme Lord has unlimited energies without any effort by him, and the whole energy is described under three principal headings as above mentioned. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadate Vishesatah Adadana Strinam Danteridam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pekshakunityam Tat Presta Chat Karomisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. This particular section of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam has many, many important points which are being raised by Śrīla Prabhupāda. The foremost of which is the example of the life of Sri Nārada Muni and how he became liberated from the material world and became an eternal associate of Krishna. It is described in the verse, by that confidential part of knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of the Lord Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. And knowing that, they can go back to him or can personally meet him. Now, this is quite significant because we see in the Vedas, in the Purusha Sukta, there are many references to understanding the absolute truth and what will be the result of such understanding. Now, if we look in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text number 9, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text number 9, it is described, Kavim Purana Manuna Sitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaridya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. Prabhupada translates, one should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. And Śrīla Prabhupada explains in a purport very nicely that by understanding, he says, therefore, intelligent persons avoiding useless argument and speculation should accept what is stated in scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and follow the principles they set down. This would lead one to understanding. Now, it is quite significant that all the great acharyas, Madhva, Ramanuja, Nimbarka, Vishwanath Chakravarti, they all have commented upon this particular verse of Bhagavad Gita, given very deep meanings to this particular section, Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. Śrīla Prabhupada gave a very nice lecture. Let me locate the exact lecture so we can try to put it on the screen. This is a lecture from Madhya Lila, explaining Madhya Lila, chapter 13, text 65. Madhya Lila, chapter 13, text 65, where Śrīla Prabhupada explains that this Yasya Prabhavatu Jagadandakoti, Brahma Samhita 540. In that effulgence, millions and millions of planets are generating. The same examples you can take, that all these planets, this is scientifically true. I mean to say that all these planets, they have generated from the sunshine. Similarly, spiritual world, that effulgence of the body of Krishna that is spread, and there are hundreds and millions of Vaikuntha planets are there. Mahantam Aditya Varnam. And then where is that Aditya? Where is that supreme sun? Tamasaha Parastat. Oh, that is beyond this darkness. This material world is dark by nature. We have several times explained. Therefore, in the temporary, now just see the arrangement. The sun is there to drive out darkness, but the night is also there so that we can understand that by nature it is dark. Simply by timely appearance of the sun, it becomes day. Therefore, there is day and night. Day and night. Tamasaha Parastat. In other Vedic literatures, Tamasima Jyotir Gamaya. Don't keep yourself in this darkness. Just try to get out of it and go to that Brahman effulgence. So this is a very important point. By understanding the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will become free from all the suffering in this material world and become liberated. Prabhupada explains, similarly, there are other statements. Savrikshaha kalaha kritibihi paronyat yasmat prapancha parivartate yam dharmavaham papa maruddam. Then another statement, Vedaham etat purushan mahantam aditya varnam tamasaha parastat. That Vedaham means I understand that supreme person. Vedaham means I understand. Purusha is again Purusha. In the Bhagavad Gita also, you'll find Arjuna recognizing Krishna. He says, Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham. Bhagavad Gita 10:12. So this is a very important point, because the whole idea of studying the Vedas, studying Shastra, of hearing the message of Bhagavatam is to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we see Krishna is explaining, Vedanta Krid Vedavid Ivachahan. I am the compiler of Vedanta. I am the goal of studying the Veda. Vedeshta Sarver Aham Eva Vidyaha. The whole idea of studying Vedic literature is to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. This is the meaning. That is why all the Shastras are recommending that one should accept a bona fide Acharya, study the Shastra under the guidance of a bona fide Acharya. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta. One should surrender to the bona fide Acharya. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is described, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One should hear the message from the self-realized Acharya. Now, somebody may say, well, there are so many persons who are claiming to be gurus and acharyas. One has to find the authorized acharya. Because in Kali Yuga, we find so many persons claiming to be acharyas, claiming to be spiritual guides, claiming to be gurus. Unfortunately, they do not deliver the proper message. They get carried away with different weeds. Just like if you plant a garden, if you're not careful, along with your original plants, some weeds will come up. Unless you clear the weeds out, they will smother the original plants. Just like here in this portion of California, in the Sierra Nevada, in the forest, there are so many trees. And in the spring, after the snow clears out, there are so many different plants that are coming up that were not there during the winter time. So many flowers, so many herbs, so many different kind of plants are coming up, some of which are weeds. So one has to learn to distinguish between the weed and the bona fide original plant. This is also described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Śrīla Rupa Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is very important to understand. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas compiled by Sanatan Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, there is a reference, Guravo Bahavo Shanti, that there are many, many gurus, Shishya Vittapaharakaha, who are very expert in stealing the wealth of the disciple. Many of you have experienced this, especially those of you born in India or from Indian families. You know that there are many persons, they become professional reciters, professional speakers on the Vedas and Bhagavatam. But a warning is given by Sanatan Goswami, quoting from the Padma Purana, Durlabha Sadguru Devi Shishya Santapaharaka. But it is very rare. This is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Devi, his wife, Parvati. It is very rare to find that guru, Shishya Santapa. Santapa means the miseries, the sufferings of the disciple. One who can take away that suffering, it is very rare. Because we are seeing in Kali Yuga, so many persons, very expert. They will be fluent in Sanskrit, fluent in so many languages, presenting philosophy, so many things. Unfortunately, what is their real motivation? What is the real aim of these people? Are they really aiming to deliver the pure message? Are they really delivering the pure transcendental message of Krishna consciousness, just like Śrīla Prabhupāda gave? Many of them will even dress like Vaishnavas, present themselves as reformers, present themselves as persons who can clean out the so-called mess that has been created by a class of pretenders. Unfortunately, many of these reformers are just as bad as the person they're criticizing. The same rascal motivation appears again and again. Simply for money, simply for power, for position, for prestige, profit, adoration, distinction. This pollutes the whole Vaishnava Sampradaya. One should not think that simply amongst the impersonalists or Sahajiyas that there are problems. There are problems even in regular Vaishnava society. One has to learn to distinguish between those who preach the original bona fide message and the pretenders, the posers. Pretenders and posers will not be able to help. Their real color comes out when they start speaking out, how they treat other people, or mistreat other people. We saw in the life of Śrīla Prabhupāda, he was a perfect exemplary person, treating everybody with grace, kindness, mercy, but sometimes he was very strong, very, very strong, chastising even his own disciples for misrepresenting or misleading or not following properly. So one has to learn by submissive hearing from the Acharya. One should not behave like a Kali Chela and pretend to follow Prabhupada. That will be exposed. It is simply a matter of time before it becomes exposed. We will leave it at that for now, and as we said yesterday, within the next few minutes, we'll chant one or two texts from the Brahma Samhita as approved by Śrīla Prabhupada in 1976. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glories to Śrīla Prabhupada, and thank you very much for that explanation of today's verse. And I want to go back to the verse and the purport and refer to a couple of points that Prabhupada has brought up. In the middle of the purport, the living entities serving under the material energy are struggling hard for existence, and happiness which is presented to them is illusion, but in the spiritual energy, they are placed under the direct service of the Lord in eternal life, complete knowledge, and perpetual bliss. The Lord desires, as he has directly said in Bhagavad Gita, that all conditioned souls rotting in the kingdom of material energy may come back to him by giving up all engagements in the material world. This is the most confidential part of knowledge, but this can be understood only by the pure devotees, and such devotees only are entered into the kingdom of God to see him personally and serve him personally. So Prabhupada explains that the devotee can transcend the material world, which is very vast. It's compared to a imprint of a calf's hoof. It's becomes a very small amount of water to cross over, as opposed to the entire ocean, which is impossible to cross over. But you can cross beyond it simply by taking up devotional service. This is the highest level of activity for the conditioned soul. And to connect the dots, if you can serve the pure devotee, Śrīla Prabhupada, then this is the highest service you can render. What is that service? By explaining to other people the philosophy of Krishna consciousness according to his instructions, by helping them take up the chanting of Hare Krishna, by helping them read the original books, staying steady on that, the unedited, unchanged books of Śrīla Prabhupada, by giving them prasadam, offering properly the foodstuffs to the spiritual master and distributing it to them. And in this way, they can gradually take up devotional service. And this is the highest level of activity that the living entity can render. And there are great results from that, everyone. And I wanted to go to the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 72, to this purport that Śrīla Prabhupada has given us, which gives a very deep insight into the power of devotional service to the pure devotee and to the Supreme Lord, because through this understanding, one can appreciate their opportunity. That's the problem. Most people can't see the opportunity, even if it's right in front of them, due to their own bewilderment. That's it. So text 72, this is in the second, yeah, thank you. Translation. We'll just go straight to the translation. Thank you. This is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. Being so situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport. One can attain Krishna consciousness or divine life at once within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. So very important point here. Prabhupada asked the question, you don't read, because they were asked, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada gave response in Australia, you don't read the books? It's only a matter, Prabhupada says here, of understanding and accepting the fact. Kadvanga Maharaj attained this state of life just a few minutes before his death by surrendering unto Krishna. Nirvana means ending the process of material life, materialistic life. According to Buddhist philosophy, there is only void after the completion of this material life. But Bhagavad Gita teaches differently. Actual life begins after the completion of this material life. For the gross materialist, it is sufficient to know that one has to end this materialistic way of life. But for persons who are spiritually advanced, there is another life after this materialistic life. Before ending this life, if one fortunately becomes Krishna conscious, he at once attains the stage of Brahma Nirvana. Okay, here's the key. There is no difference between the kingdom of God and the devotional service of the Lord. No difference. Since both of them are on the absolute plane, to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. In the material world, there are many activities of sense gratification, whereas in the spiritual world, there are activities of Krishna consciousness. Attainment of Krishna consciousness, even during this life, is immediate attainment of Brahman, and one who is situated in Krishna consciousness has certainly already entered into the kingdom of God. Already. So this success is possible by becoming fixed in what's called samadhi, panchagoda, samadhi, trance. What is that trance for the devotee, disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda? To protect his legacy at all costs. That is our mission. We are not interested in Jugala Priti. Oh, now we understand Krishna with the gopis. We are interested in humble service to the spiritual master and to protect his legacy in his books and in his transcendental message to humanity from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and from his spiritual master. This is our samadhi. And all of us in this group should be focused on this samadhi service. This will give us true understanding of the philosophy that Prabhupada is delivering to us by the mercy of Guru and then by the mercy of Krishna. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please.
Raising some very important points again. How to become free from the influence of the material energy and to become free from anxiety. When we carefully analyze what is going on in the material world, we see two major points that are raised in the Bhagavad Gita. There is constant hankering and constant lamentation, because the mind is very flickering. The mind has two basic functions: to accept things that are pleasing for sense gratification and to reject things that are not pleasing to the sense gratification. Therefore, it is constantly hankering for pleasures. Unfortunately, in this material world, you can't get permanent pleasure, constant pleasure. It is pleasure accompanied by misery. So therefore, when there's frustration, then there's lamentation. If you watch the news, you can see there is constant lamentation. One politician is lamenting about another politician. Politicians are lamenting. So many things are being discussed, but all on the basis of hankering and lamentation. But that is not the solution. The only solution, as we discussed earlier, Aditya Varnam Tamasap Parastat, to understand the nature and position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by this knowledge, one will become free from all lamentation. Now, coming back to what we discussed yesterday, we mentioned that we were going to chant 1 or 2 verses from Brahma Samhita. These particular tunes I chanted for Śrīla Prabhupada several times, and basically he approved and liked them. So I'll chant them for those who wanted to request that. We'll chant the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text number 1, then chapter 5, text 29. Ishvaraha Parama Krishnaha Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarvakarana Karanam. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarvakarana Karanam. That's the text number 1. And then we'll go to text number 29. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpavriksha laksha vriteshu surabhirabi palayantam Lakshmi sahasrasata sambrama sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpavriksha laksha vriteshu surabhirabi palayantam Lakshmi sahasrachata sambrama sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Let's read the translation. Put it down a little bit, Rupesh. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So we'll leave it at that for now. There are some, for those of you who are interested to learn the exact Sanskrit pronunciation of the Brahma Samhita, there is a very interesting rendition on YouTube by 2 South Indian Vaishnavis. It is very remarkable. It's like perfect, complete pronunciation. Of course, one can also listen to Śrīla Prabhupada. He has the topmost pronunciation, but for those of you who are interested, if you send me an email, I'll send you the link. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, and thank you for sharing that melody for us in the chanting of the Brahma Samhita, which gives a description of the spiritual world. And I wanted to let everyone know that on Thursday this week, we are reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita this verse with a detailed purport from Śrīla Prabhupada on all the information about the spiritual realm, and gives us real insight that is not only available to the Prabhupada disciples that are surrendered to him in his service, devotional service to his spiritual master. So very, very important sections to hear this philosophy of Krishna consciousness in an assembly of devotees. And association, Prabhus, is very important in life. I just got a text from someone in Brampton, Ontario here, and they're going to this temple, ISKCON temple. There's a proliferation of these bogus ISKCON temples. And I told him specifically, if you associate with this sentimental group, you'll become sentimental. Remember that. Your association is the most important thing in your spiritual life. And getting good association is key to making advancement and helping people to avoid becoming confused by the sentimental group that is called the ISKCON group these days. I wanted Tim Lee, if he could, I see Paranjana Prabhu, excuse me. He's also known with both names. If he could make a few comments today. He's working to get his microphone on. I know it.
Hello, Haribol.
Haribol, Paranjana Prabhu, glories to Prabhupada.
Glories to Prabhupada. Yeah, I think this is a big problem that the ISKCON people are very sentimental, and they just get more and more deluded, and it's like a downward spiral. And somebody was telling me that a husband of a Radhanath wife who cooks meat, by the way, and smells the whole neighborhood up with meat, was harassing his wife. So they've just got this very low class group of people now, and it just gets lower and lower, as time goes on. So it's a devolution, and there's less and less Prabhupada books, less and less Prabhupada emphasis, less and less Prabhupada's books, and they're distributing their own books and all the rest of it. So it just it deteriorates, and they have a saying that a fish rots from the head. So the head of ISKCON is deteriorating, and then everything underneath it, everything subordinate to it, will have the same problem. So anyway, one of the gurus had a major heart surgery, Mahatma, and he says he's come to all kinds of new realizations, which he's going to announce very soon. Well, let's see what happens. He's been a big supporter of these guys, and he's always been very antagonistic to me. I met him in LA when I was doing the child molesting lawsuit, and he was really grimacing and grumbling, and he just not happy with the way I do things. But unfortunately, we had to do what we had to do to clean the mess up. I just got a notification from the people who are making the movie Monkey on a Stick. They had a few holdups, but oh, okay. I was going to try to send a link to it, and it says unable to send file due to admin restrictions. I don't know what that is. But anyway,
Rupesh, if you could correct that for him, possibly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'll post it on my blog. A link to the movie release.
Okay.
Thing, it's going to be coming out. So that's going on, and then some devotees made an analysis of the poison case, and that was made by this devotee named Nārada in England. And Narada's quite a good guy. I mean, he's gay, on one hand, but he's a little funny. But he did interview me at one point, and he was very favorable, and he's very favorable to a lot of our ideas. So I see him as more or less of an ally. But anyway, you guys can go to that video and make comments on it, because they obviously the GBC people will make their comments, and so we should also make counter comments on there as well. So that's basically where we're at the moment. I also got into a big tangle with a Gaudiya Math guy, and he said, I'm just a ranting lunatic. And I said, listen, Prabhu, this is why we have all the problems. When I said there's a child molesting problem and a poison problem and a book changing problem, you guys said I was a ranting lunatic, and that enabled the lunacy that I was trying to correct. So he says, there's no proof that Sridhar supported. I says, you just said it right now. I'm a ranting lunatic. The proof is right there, what you just exactly said yourself. Anyway, those are some of my updates for now, and I'll post a few links if I can do that I'll see what happens. Haribol.
Thank you, Haribo. I wanted to ask Panchagoda because you brought up a very interesting point, Paranjana, about these guru books that are being sold as opposed to Prabhupada's books. We have an interesting situation in that was discussed with me, with Panchagoda, how they've been stockpiling Radhanath's books. Maybe he can, in Ukraine, maybe he can explain a bit more of it directly. Panchagoda, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, the situation was like 2.5 years ago, before the war have started. They already knew about this war, so they translated these 2 major books of Radhanath into Ukrainian language, and they had full stock of it, like huge warehouses among all the country, and they put it at the same level as Śrīla Prabhupāda book, Knowledge Con. So there is so funny that in the marathons, which officially were in December, this Radhanath books is in the same list with all Śrīla Prabhupāda's books for distribution. So in a few words, that's the case.
Yeah, and if you look at the books, Prabhus, if you get a chance to see them, like these books by Radhanath, they're written like kindergarten spirituality. It's poison, total poison. And yet they're replacing these books as the means of educating new devotees, opposed to studying Prabhupada's transcendental literatures. It's a complete farce. And again, to further explain, this is a sentimental group of Sahajism. Very, 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 very bad. And association is a key for making advancement. Good association. If you have bad association, you'll become confused. Like Dharma Bhavana, maybe you could relate to us your situation in Dallas, where they've stopped you from distributing your books on the pastimes that you had when Prabhupada was visiting Dallas. Why would they do that? Dharma Bhavana, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Well, what happened is I was here in Texas, in Austin and Houston. Prabhupada would come to visit, maybe someone said 5 times. We would visit as a brahmacharis, we come from Austin to Dallas. So I never had any really direct personal pastimes. So it wasn't like that, but other devotees who were pujaris, who installed the deities, who were involved in the Gurukuла, they sent me different types of, I guess you call it testimony, describing what happened to them, how they were installing the deities, what all the problems that happened, because there was intense problems for several days, and how the devotees made mistakes, and Prabhupada finally told them how to solve the mistakes. And it's quite a beautiful drama, that because it was back in the 1970s. Many devotees were very, very new and loved Prabhupada and really appreciated devotional service. It was new, but there were so many mistakes made. So when devotees learn from these mistakes and learn to appreciate Prabhupada's, kindness and intelligence and transcendental vision, it really gives us more appreciation from him. Just one time, there was a high school teacher, a school teacher who was coming to the temple for some time. Devotees knew him, and he had this personal problem, and that he was also driving his school bus after school in order to make extra money. So on Valentine's Day, one of the little kids lost his Valentine. It blew in the wind below the bus, and he checked his rear view mirrors, and there was nobody there. And apparently the kid got run over by the bus and killed. So he had some kind of a legal dilemma. He didn't know if he would be prosecuted for some negligence. And Prabhupada asked him all these questions. And at first, devotee said, Prabhupada, we don't want you to talk to this man. He's just going to waste your time. He has his own personal problems. And so Prabhupada said, no, I want to speak to him. And the man explained all of his situation, that he followed all the laws, looked in the rearview mirrors. It's just that an accident happened, that when you look in one view mirror and somebody goes below the bus, you look in the other rearview mirror, you may not see it. So that's what happened. And Prabhupada finally told him that you have followed all the laws. You've been a good teacher and school bus driver. You should not be prosecuted for any negligence, because you have not broken any laws, or you've not been negligent. So there's many things in my book. I'm not really an author. And I had so many complications. I didn't have any editor. I had really a lot of trouble with that. So I just tried to do my best. And even though I tried to avoid writing the book because it was so difficult for me, Krishna just forced me to be in that situation to complete it and just try my best. And it was quite a lesson for me. And so that's what happened. And in my books, I didn't talk about any of the current controversies, because this is 1970s when Prabhupada was in Texas. But still, I told in the beginning of the book that if you're writing about history, if you're an American historian, you have to write about the tragedies of the American Indians and all different troubles people had. It's naturally part of history. So I explained that I would not hold back from explaining all the good and bad that happened. But there was no really that much controversy in the 1970s when Prabhupada was here. So my book did not really enter into anything very controversial. But at the same time, people didn't like me to write my book. I don't know, maybe because I didn't ask anybody's permission. I just went directly to the devotees they're involved. And they asked me all these questions, like, do you believe this? Do you believe that? And I answered them honestly. They said, okay, you're a good Prabhupada Anuga. I like you. I'll give my testimony to you. So it was done in just a way almost forced by Lord Krishna and Prabhupada that I would write this book. And again, I'm not an author. It's not a great book, but it does have some of Prabhupada's pastimes here that are not in any other place shown. So I mentioned a few things. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Okay, but I wanted to ask you this question. Have they banned the distribution of your book in their centers?
No. I never had it in the temple to begin with.
Okay, well, that's good. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if you could further comment on the situation in Ukraine and the promotion of these books of Radhanath.
Well, it's well known with many devotees involved in the movement that there has been a very different approach to preaching Krishna consciousness. As mentioned by Panchagoda Prabhu, you have a group of people who are interpreting Prabhupada's teachings in their own words, in their own websites, their own publications, their own books, and they want to present their interpretation rather than emphasize Śrīla Prabhupada's original books. And this is one of the reasons why they changed the books. One of the fundamental reasons why Prabhupada's original books are being changed. Now, I'm not referring, for example, when Prabhupada wanted indexes at the end of the books and the list of the Sanskrit verses and the Sanskrit diacritics and the glossary. I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the actual text and purports that Prabhupada gave. The reason they started to change this is to alter and change the philosophy. When these people came out from he has seen the truth to they have seen the truth, we know exactly what they were doing. They're trying to redirect the attention to themselves, claiming that they had been appointed as successors and all this nonsense. When they deleted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivedanta Thakur, they did not like this because it gives an entirely deep explanation from Śrīla Prabhupada about the meaning of initiation. We have several times discussed in this program that Prabhupada uses the word initiation, initiated diksha, and he defines it in many different contexts. And when you have a discussion on this issue, We can't just go to some other mat or some other advisors or some other sampradaya. No, we have to take it from Śrīla Prabhupada, how he defines what is initiation in his society, in his movement. They didn't like that because many of Prabhupada's explanation did not conform to their political agenda. It did not conform to their own concocted ideas. Therefore, they changed the books. And this is very important for devotees to understand. These revised, edited, changed books are not authorized. They will never be authorized. One should only go to the original book. Maybe give one last example. Prabhupada in Calcutta one time was giving a lecture. And when he came back to his room, some Bengali gentleman came to see him. And Prabhupada told them, why do you think that the sweet shop, K.C. Das, is the most famous sweet shop in Calcutta?
Mm-hmm.
He told these Bengali gentlemen and ladies, why do you think that this sweet shop is so popular, is so successful? And one of the people, because it tastes good, this Prabhupada says, no. Prabhupada, they never changed the recipe for their rasgullas. It is always the same quality, first class. Similarly, we are preaching Bhagavad Gita as it is. We don't change the meaning. This was Prabhupada's explanation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, I remember that sweet shop that Prabhupada talked about, and it was a great opportunity for us to try that sandesh that they would make and the proper recipe, so like that. And I wanted, while we finish up here today, I wanted to mention again about Ukraine, the devotees there, and compliment them on their efforts. Very, very good service under very difficult circumstances, and they will be coming forward. Panchagoda, I do want you to send over a picture of the murtis that you're producing to Rupesh and to Nilashama, if you can, or send them so that they can have them for in our production, our weekly production, and we can show everybody how beautiful the murti is and how we're going to help you sell these murtis for donations and help support your book distribution programs. And it was interesting to note that one of his godbrothers there has sold over or manufactured over $500,000 worth of Prabhupada's original books on his own, not just on his own, but with his group, and distributed them themselves. So this is exemplary service. This is not something that ordinary people can do. And it is a great honor to be able to help you, Prabhu, in this difficult situation that you're in the Ukraine with this war and all the rest of the madness that goes on there. And so like that. And they also manufacture beautiful bead bags with different features which are even popular amongst the ISKCON group. And so these will also be made available, Nilesh, for distribution. And we'll work a program out with the Hare Krishna Society here in America to handle the distribution. And then we can send all of the money that's raised to them to help them carry on with their service of protecting Prabhupada's legacy in the original books. So thank you again. And thank you everyone for attending the program again today. It's a very blissful experience. I know many of you get in touch with us and you appreciate the opportunity. 4.5 hours a week, some days it gets to 5 hours a week of Transcendental Association. It's not much out of 168 hours a week of time that each of us have, but it is something we are doing consistently without hesitation, without overcoming all kinds of difficulties to keep this going for everyone's benefit. So please encourage other people to join us. Yes, those that are really sincere. Some people will drop out for whatever reason. That's their business. But you drop out, you're the loser, not us. We are winning as a group in presenting Prabhupada's teachings without any change. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna led by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Chant along. I always say this. It's only 2.5 minutes. Don't drop off. This is a great opportunity to chant along, to be a part of the transcendental sounds that we're delivering at the PDA Hare Krishna Society of Śrīla Prabhupāda in his unchanged formats. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating. Rupesh Chawan Prabhu in Bombay, India, Venkat Bhatta Prabhu in Bangalore, Vishwakarma Prabhu hosting the program from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Panchagoda Prabhu from Ukraine. I don't know which city, but very, very auspicious. Ruchisa Devi Mataji in Montreal, Canada, with a wonderful picture of Prabhupada behind her head. Pierangelo, maybe from Italy. I don't know where you're from, Prabhu, but the picture of Lord Krishna behind you is wonderful. Neil Shama Prabhu.
I live in Geneva. I live in Geneva, Switzerland.
Oh,
Geneva.
very good. Excellent, excellent. Neil Shama Prabhu from Miami, Florida. We welcome everyone to join us on Thursday evening at 5 o'clock p.m., corresponding to 8 o'clock p.m., Florida time and Hamilton, Ontario time. And as usual, all glories to His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. Hare Krishna.
Rupesh, please play the end. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.